Only Buffalo is going to win it, folks.
The Bills make me run, shout, kick your heels up and shout.
Let's see why the Buffalo Bills are en route to the playoffs.
Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout.
The Buffalo Bills go undefeated. And we're going to the Super Bowl, yeah.
Now, baby,
Say you will.
come on, come on.
Say you will.
No one
Come on
circles the
and
wagon
shout.
like the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Coming up, right? We got this huge game coming up. It's for all the marbles, I keep saying that. I've been saying that a couple times, but this is really for all the marbles. I guess it's kind of weird because technically we've already dominated the rematch in week 5, which we'll talk about. But we got our chance again, and our guy is with us. He's been with us, through it all. But before I introduce our special guest, Matt, how you doing, bro?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good. Just ready to talk about this game. It's been a talking point here for the past week, so I'm just ready. I'm ready for Sunday, really, but I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And listen, we got a special guest. He's been rocking with us since the beginning. Shout out to him. We definitely developed a friendship, a brotherhood, and our guy CJ from the Ops, though. He definitely is from the Ops, but he's still cool though. CJ, what's up, man?
My guys, how y'all doing? How's life going out there on the East Coast?
It's cold as hell. But yeah.
Y'all gave it to us, man, because we got like 5-degree weather today. So y'all must have sent that over here with y'all fans, bro. It's crazy.
It's definitely possible. Temperature is definitely going down. It's crazy. But the game is not here. It's in Kansas City. It's in Arrowhead, But before we do that, before we kind of get into all the particulars, Matt, can you please let the people know who is sponsoring this show today?
Yes, sir. This episode and every other episode is brought to you by the good people at Buffalo Wing Kings. There's 2 things the guys here at the Overdue Bills podcast know. That's Bills football and that's wings. Our first choice and the best choice is Buffalo Wing Kings. At Wing Kings, it's Wings 101. With over 101 different flavors and their beloved Wing of the Month special, Wing Kings is sure to school any other place around. Stop by and see them for lunch, dinner, football parties, whatever you guys have cravings for wings, go hit up Wing Kings. Stop down and see them at their Elmwood Village location at 484 Elmwood Avenue, or give them a call at 716-248-1427 and find out why they say and we know they got the best wings in town, hands down. And make sure you shout out our name, Overdue Bills Podcast. Get 10% off your order.
Absolutely. Shout out Buffalo Wing Kings. You know the vibes, man. Y'all, listen, y'all got to get y'all wings. This is the divisional playoff round. It's all about football this weekend. You need to get your wings, put your order in early. Sit back and relax and just enjoy the meal. All right. And with that being said, let me do this. OverdueBillsPod.com. To everybody watching out there, please go to the website. Please go hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of those amazing things. Overdue Bills Pod. You can find us everywhere. We got the merch. And we have some amazing, hear me when I say this, some amazing contests going on. Matt, just let the people know even right now. Let the people know what contest we got going on, bro.
Yeah, speaking of Wing Kings, we posted on our page today a couple of the flavors they got, man. They were looking too good. So we're doing our Wing Kings $30 gift card score prediction contest. That's going to be our staple. You got to predict the score, put in the total offensive yardage that you think that the Bills are going to have as a tiebreaker, and then tag 2 people. We want to run this up. We want to get this contest rolling. We are probably going to announce another contest for another T-shirt giveaway. Be on the lookout for that tonight or tomorrow. And just, definitely, we're trying to give stuff away. It's the end of the year. We're trying to keep this run through February. So hopefully we're giving away stuff all the way through February.
Absolutely. So please get a part of those contests. Go to our Facebook page, Instagram page. Get in there. All right. Y'all know how we do it. Quick question of the day. And I think I want an argument, man. I got to ask. The people want to know, CJ. All right. Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen. The people want to know.
Here we go.
First of all, who had the better season? Let me just, I'll put it that way nicely. Who had the better season? If you're in the comments, let us know right now. I'm going to ask CJ first, and I'm going to Matt. Who had the better season between Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen?
That's a good question. I know they both threw for 4,000 yards. So that's a hell of a year. Josh had 44,000. Okay, 4,400. He had 15 picks. Okay, I know Pat had hella turnovers. I'm not going to get to that. I know he had a lot of those. 44 is a lot of yards, and Pat had 48. But say he had 13. So by the books, if we're going by the books, people, not even no bias, Pat threw for 4,800 yards with only 13 INTs, and it was looking nasty because he was throwing every other pick almost every game at the beginning of the year. And then Josh threw 15 for 44. So I'm gonna rock with 15. I'm gonna go with the home team guy. But Josh did have a hell of a year. He should have gotten a Pro Bowl, which is kind of messed up. But the league is growing. There's so many good quarterbacks, like me and Matt talked about other day in other pod. There's a lot of good QBs in the league now. Absolutely,
Matt.
Yeah, I got to go with our guy, Josh Allen, simply because of what he did on the ground. I mean, he's the number one. He leads the league in yards per carry. He had over 100 carries this year as a quarterback. That's crazy. He's the first ever quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards and rush for 750 yards in the season. That's huge. I think he had 6 touchdowns on the ground, and like CJ just threw out his passing stats. And then, he will, it seemed like every game that we needed Josh, or we needed something, Josh was the team. You know what I mean? So he put the team on his back and got us here in this position to be playing this game on Sunday with those guys.
Interesting. I see in the comments, it's a lot of Josh Allen all day. Reverend Josh Allen. It's a lot of Josh Allen. I don't know. People may like Josh Allen, but no, I'm going to be honest. This season, interestingly enough, both quarterbacks struggled. But they had their low points throughout the season. But for me, I'm gonna say Josh Allen, and I think because Josh kind of closed the gap for me. Patrick Mahomes was unassailable. I'm gonna be honest, like what he did in these past 3 years, getting AFC Championship games, Super Bowls, winning a Super Bowl, he was unassailable. He was literally he was the best. But I think this year, Josh Allen. Last year, it just kind of happened out of nowhere. He kind of ascended, but this year he kind of put his stamp on it. I am that guy. He has signature wins, even though when he had in the playoffs just this past, weekend. But I'm going to go with Josh Allen. So it's fun to kind of talk about it because for a long time, Pat Mahomes was here, right? It was kind of no contest, but now the gap is kind of being closed, and it's kind of interesting to see. And with that being said, we do have to do this. Matt and CJ, can we just talk about, before we get into the game, are there any injuries? Are there any COVID-related things? Anything that we see from our prospective teams? Matt, you can go first, then CJ.
Yeah, just only lone guy on our injury report is Mario Addison with the shoulder. He went down early in the game last week. He didn't practice today, so I don't know if he's going to be a go on Sunday. I'm sure he's going to be doing everything he can to get out there, but he's the lone guy on our injury report. No COVID action, nothing like that either. So we're looking like we're full steam ahead for Sunday.
Okay. So Mario Addison. All right, CJ, is it anybody that we may not even know about? Meaning he's not a big name, but he means a lot to the team. He may be on the injury report. Anybody?
I think most of the guys that are key players, that most of them have been on the injury report, which is kind of similar to last week.
Right.
Willie Gay, I know he had the situation today. L'Jarius Sneed, both guys that played last week. Tyreek Hill had to heal, so I know he has to be on the injury report. I think the only guy that we pretty much expect that probably not be active would probably a good shot, probably Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Rashad Fenton, both one of our corners and our starting running back, because Clyde had the shoulder injury, and I think he may give it a go, but as far as the practice report today, neither one of those guys practiced. Everybody else did, so I know it's only Thursday. We still got another day or 2 days, Friday and Saturday, for walkthroughs and see if guys can get going. But I think if there was a guy that probably wouldn't play, I would probably bet on Rashad Fenton because he had the back injury. And those are kind of tough to bounce back from. But we'll see this weekend. But Rashad Fenton and Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably would be the two guys I would be worried about the most.
Interesting. All right, let's do this. I kind of wanted to start here because one of the storylines going into this game is that these two teams are familiar with each other, right? Very, very familiar. They've been linked, at least definitely for the past 2 years, dating back to the AFC Championship game for sure. And even the last year playing them in the regular season. But this year in the regular season, week 5, the Buffalo Bills beat the Kansas City Chiefs 38-20. Josh Allen was amazing, right? He came out to play. We got the win. We got our quote unquote revenge from last year. So I'm gonna ask CJ first, then Matt. Is there anything different from the Kansas City Chiefs from that Week 5 loss against the Buffalo Bills, right? We know that was ages ago. That was in October. But from your perspective, from a fan's perspective of the Kansas City Chiefs, what do you see different with your team? Like, what are the Bills going to see differently coming this weekend?
Definitely won't see 4 turnovers. that was a nasty play for the Week 5 game. So, and hopefully no hour-long delay, because I was at that game. That was so weird being stuck under the seats for a long time. But overall, I expect a cleaner game from both offenses. I expect the Pat to have a more efficient game. I think that was kind of in the early part of the season, they were trying to transition because most teams were kind of playing them the same way, too high, make you take everything short and underneath, make you use your short guys, your running backs, and your quick game to try to get the ball out of your hands. And that was a transitional period for Pat and this offense to try to figure out, okay, what team do we want to be? Do we want to be hard-headed and kind of stubborn and try to force things, or do we want to take what the defense gives us? So our defense has played a lot better through periods of this year. I think we had a stretch where we only allowed like 18 points for like 3 games. So they were doing a very good job. I think our defense is much, much different now. Melvin Ingram's on the roster. That's the guy that wasn't there back in Week 5. So that's another guy that can make plays. I just think overall from that Week 5 for both sides of the ball, but mainly for the Chiefs, I think the quarterback is just going to be so much more comfortable because they kind of figure out their identity now. They know who they like to get the ball to. The offensive line is more comfortable. Receivers are more comfortable. We had a lot of guys making plays last week, like Miko, Byron Pringle, D-Rob, a lot of guys that were in there that were confident. So showing Jerry McKinnon is starting to get involved. I know me and Matt talked about that the other day as well. So when you have guys that you're more comfortable now, you have more than just 1 or 2 guys you can depend on. It's just a more easy flowing game for the coordinators to call. And I'm sure Andy and EB are working day and night to try to figure out how we're going to attack those 2 safeties y'all got back there. Those are 2 of the best in the business. So
Interesting. Because Matt and his people talking about in the comments, you talked about those 4 turnovers. The Bills have become, or at least according to all metrics, the number 1 defense in the league. So Matt, with that being said, do you see anything different from Week 5? And let me ask you this: is the Bills a better team, than they were in Week 5?
I'm going to go with, despite the loss of Trey White, which is a huge blow to our secondary. I know I talked about it on the pod with him, with CJ and Chris the other day. Teron Johnson was kind of like the stud shadowing Tyreek Hill that game. Right. Our defensive line did whatever they want with that offensive line, and we have no changes to that. They got better throughout the year. And then also the big difference for me from Week 5 will be, Josh Allen had a lights out game. He threw for 315 and 3 touchdowns, and he was our leading rusher. The new component this week, I guess over the past 5-6 weeks, is Boulder Singletary is coming into his own. So we will have more of a balanced game and won't depend as heavily on the pass, even though we were very successful in the pass game last game.
Interesting. With that being said, right? So generally, kind of 2 different teams going into this game this weekend, and CJ kind of dealt with some of the players that have been stepping out. So I'm gonna ask y'all this, right? And everybody in the comments can answer. I'm gonna go to Matt first. Matt, can you give me 2 to 3 players that you are singling out, saying that they need to have a good game, right? Give me 2 to 3 players that you say, okay, this player is very important to us because this, right? This player is very important to us because he needs to do this in order for us to be successful. And I'm going to CJ right after that.
Yeah, so I'll start with, the guy that the picture has been up all week. We posted the picture today, Stephon Diggs. This is his real revenge game. He watched the banner go. He watched the confetti come down for the AFC Championship last year. He's the only guy left on the field. He's got to come out and take over the game early for the Bills to be successful on offense. And then on the flip side, a guy we talk about, I know you talk about he needs to do something in prime time and big important games, is Ed Oliver. In the middle, he's got to disrupt stuff, get Pat uncomfortable, and let those ends kind of, get a chance to get some sacks and keep Pat, uncomfortable all game long to maybe make some mistakes for our really good secondary to possibly get a tip drill or a pick in this game.
Interesting. CJ, do you got some players for me?
Absolutely. I would agree with what Matt said. The D-line is going to be a big deal. So I would say our center to guard combination, I would kind of bunch them into one. So Joe Tooney, our left guard, Creed Humphrey, who should be rookie of the year, by the way, our center, and then Trey Smith, our guard to center. I think those guys have to give Pat a clean pocket because we know that the Bills have a very good front 7. I know Edmonds and Milano are going to be flying around. So I would give those as my first one. Then I would have to say Tyrann Mathieu for sure, because you guys have a lot of weapons that can attack the middle of the field. Gabriel Davis, Emmanuel Sanders, Isaiah McKenzie, who's been involved, and me and Matt talked about. Obviously, Stephon Diggs, so he's the number 1 option. So Those would be my two. And then 3, it has to be Jared McKinnon. Like, he's been our hot running back right now. Clyde's dealing with his injuries. Darrell has his injury as well. So he's probably the guy that's going to get the hot hand right now. So he's going to have to carry that load. And we know that, and you guys know this as well, the more you can run the football and it takes the pressure off the defense, your passing game opens up. So those would be the 3 guys that I would think that would have to step up a lot this week.
That's interesting. And while I do appreciate that, I think for me, I'm going to name 2 guys, right? And one is Josh Allen, one is Pat Mahomes. And the reality of it is we can talk about everybody else, which is important. But if Josh Allen plays the way he's been playing, we can't, like, the Bills just, they can't lose. I think it's just mathematically impossible. Like, if he's running the ball like that and passing the ball like that, I don't think we lose. And on the flip side, Pat Mahomes as well, right? The way Pat Mahomes turned it on against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where you just rattled off 5 touchdowns, boom, 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 boom. It was like, if he can do that, then it's like, what, you know what I mean? What can you really do against it? I think this game is a mano-a-mano game. It's kind of akin to, I don't know if y'all feel the same way. It's giving me Tom Brady, Peyton Manning vibes. Not like to that obviously magnitude, but you get my point, right? It's setting up, this rivalry is kind of setting up that way, right? Like Tom Brady, that Peyton Manning, let's see who's the better quarterback. And with that being said, let me ask you this, CJ. Do you believe that having a coach in Andy Reid, does that give you an advantage over Sean McDermott? Or is it that since we've played each other multiple times, we know what we're going to do? It's just a matter of, are the players going to stop them?
Yeah, I think what you said is that I've been saying that all week. At this point in the season, we've seen each other 3 times in the past 2 years. Y'all know what we like to do. We know what you like to do. There's, like you just said, Sam, there's no secrets recipe. There's no certain formula you have to really create. We know what we have to do to make plays. You know what you have to do to make plays. At the end of the day, I think whichever D coordinator has the better game wins this game. If Leslie Frazier has a better game plan, the Bills win. I think if Spags has a better game plan, the Chiefs win. Because both quarterbacks, you're not really going to – it's almost like going against a great player in basketball. You're not going to stop him. He's going to make his plays. You just want to contain him and don't let him run off for 10 minutes like the Chiefs did. So you just want to make sure that you make them have longer drives, 8 to 10 plays. Whoever's the best on 3rd down will win this game. So I think whichever D coordinator comes to play and has a better game plan is the one that's going to win this game in total and all.
Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to piggyback on that as far as getting off the field on 3rd down. I know I talked about it on the other pod. You know, I think the team that gets out to, I guess, the first double-digit lead is probably going to be, you know, going to be the winner early, because, you know, both, you know, our defense, you know, when we get out ahead, it's just so tough to come from behind, because, you know, we definitely are able to shut quarterbacks down or offenses down for a quarter or a half. You know what I mean? And it's just the way that it goes. And even the Chiefs, you know, they went from being the worst defense in the league, bringing in a Melvin Ingram, and they cut their yardage by like 120 yards less a game, and they went on a huge run. So I think it's going to be the same deal, because both offenses are so talented that you really cannot, like you said, they're going to get theirs, but you got to try to contain them.
Interesting. I like to do this because so oftentimes, obviously, we're talking about our own teams. We're immersed in our own teams. But it's always interesting to hear a different perspective, right? So I want to ask CJ, then I'm going to go to Matt. CJ, when you look at the Buffalo Bills, right? If we play a narrative game, right? Like at the end, so come Monday, you know what I mean? All the pundits are on, all of those publications, they're talking, Bills win. In your mind, if the Bills win, like we're playing a narrative game, what do you think the Bills did to win, right? Like, can you get that in your mind? Like, if you say, okay, the Bills won, what do you think the Bills did to win that game?
Oh, they would definitely have to, like Matt said, like me and Matt said earlier, win 3rd down. Who's ever defense, like if you could shrink the field, and you can give up yards in between the 20s, but they're not scoring any touchdowns, that's a win for the defense. Field goals don't beat you. Touchdowns beat you. So whoever a defensive coordinator has a better day. And I know that Leslie Frazier, he's been interested in getting a head coaching job, and there's rumors going around, and Dable as well. So this is the kind of game that you get a job off of when you shut down arguably the best quarterback in football, and they have all those weapons, and you go out there and keep them to under 24 or 25 points a game, and you hold them to 2 or 3 touchdowns. This is the kind of game that gets you paid and gets you a job. So, and you got the best safety duo in the league in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer for a reason. So you have to lean on those guys. And I know you guys have some young corners like Levi Wallace, who's trying to step up. I like Taron Johnson a lot. That's a nice slot corner. So you guys have some DBs that are obviously trying to be in different positions because losing Tre'Davious White is a big loss. It's kind of hard to replace a guy like that. He's an All-Pro. But yeah, I think if they won the game on Monday, it would be talking about that defense and what they did to give the offense a harder time, just like they did back in Week 5.
Interesting, Matt. Vice versa. Kansas City wins Monday. We look back on it. What did they do to beat us? In your mind,
Said Kansas City wins, or
if Kansas City wins like that, playing that narrative game, what do you think that they did to beat us?
Well, they played our game, which is to keep special teams off the field except for after touchdowns. We don't want to punt. We don't want to kick field goals. The touchdown scores are gonna. We always say it's 7, not 3. We want 7, not 3 here. So they came out and they scored. They executed, and we just couldn't catch up.
That's interesting. For me, I think it's a situation of the Chiefs' defense is vulnerable, right? We know that. Cincinnati put up a hundo almost, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they have holes in the defense. It's just a fact. And I think that I know we kind of harp on the defense, but I think for me, it's an offensive game. Like, Josh Allen has to control this game. Like, it's really solely up to him. And like Devin Singletary, like let's see how that is going to go. You know what I mean? How we're going to use him effectively. And as far as vice versa, I love the Jared McKinnon piece. Like that, it seems like he came out of nowhere. I don't know if it was this year. I know Deontay Foreman with the Tennessee Titans. It seemed like running backs that got hurt and they've been like meddling for the past couple years. This year, it seemed like it's just this is their year. And so let me ask you this, CJ. With that being said, like, is this a situation where he's going to be a focal point of the offense, or Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, like they're going to get 10 plus targets and it's just like we're going to die with what we know? How do you feel that Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid is going to attack the number one defense in the league?
I think the Bills, like, you guys are confident in your scheme. They're not really going to change much. So I think as an offense, you're going to have to expect that going into the game. The Bills aren't all of a sudden going to start blitzing more. Like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are two quarterbacks that you probably don't feel comfortable blitzing as much because they can get it out to a lot of different guys that can make plays. So I think they're going to come in and do what they do, man. They're going to play too high. They're going to keep Jordan and Micah and deep. And they're going to tell Edmonds and everybody up front, hey, let's keep everything in front of us and let's just make tackles. I'd rather try to tackle them with 10 to 15-yard plays than try to cover them 30, 40 yards down the field. They don't want to see that. So just like, and vice versa for us, I don't want to go man coverage. I don't want to see Dawson Knox running by Dan Sorensen again. So that's going to be the same thing. Keep everything in front of you and make the run game beat you, because both of these teams aren't necessarily known for being predominantly run football teams, especially with the quarterback that they have. So whichever run game comes out and plays the best, Devin Singletary, me and Matt said the other day, he's came on. I think you said he scored 5 times in the last 6 games. So he's been getting it going. Jared McKinnon had over 100 plus total yards and a touchdown last week. So the more guys you get involved in that short run game, you have to run them out of that too deep. That's kind of how I think of it when I tell kids that I coach. If you just keep passing the ball downfield, I'm never going to lead this too high shell, whether it be cover 4, 2, 6, because I know you're not going to try to go over the top and you're going to throw everything short. But once you get that safety to come into the box to respect that run game, even if it is Josh Allen, it opens up everything else, because any kind of action or fake, whether it be Isaiah McKenzie running in motion, Mecole Hardman, Jared McKinnon, anything that kind of gets those linebacker safeties to look, it makes the downfield passing game that much easier. So that's why I feel like I don't think Leslie Frazier is going to come into this game and really change things. I think he's going to kind of do what we do and just see if they truly want to commit to this 8 to 10 play drive type of football.
Interesting. So, Matt, how do you feel that Brian Daboll is going to attack the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Because, like I said, they do have holes in their defense, but is this a situation where we're going to grind out a win? Because we haven't necessarily been doing that. Or we just going to go guns blazing, bro? How do you feel?
I hate to piggyback again, but I mean, it's not really, as we've seen with Daboll, I think like he got his mojo about 3-4 weeks ago, where he finally figured out how to use all the pieces to the puzzle, and now he's going with it all. Implementing Isaiah McKenzie and Motor, getting drawing up stuff for Motor and gadget fakes that are helping him in the run game and helping other guys in the pass game. So I don't think much is going to change. I just think it's, hey, we got who we got. We got to win our matchups now. Can you stop us?
Interesting. So let me ask y'all this. Matt, give me 2 players come Monday, right? I want to play this narrative game. Give me 2 players from the Bills come Monday. We win. They going in like, okay, we might need to get them boys a new contract.
Well, I'm gonna go back on Stephon Diggs, and I'm gonna use the same player, Stephon Diggs and Ed Oliver. I think this is the game where Ed Oliver is gonna come up with some stats, and he's gonna show up on the stat sheet. Even though even though he doesn't show up on the stat sheet, he shows up disrupting everything. You know what I mean? And then Diggs, he's gonna come out, playing with his hair on fire and kind of taking over and being the guy. You know what I mean? Obviously Josh is an easy pick. But Diggs just has to do it,
So let me ask you this, Chris, because I want your two players too. Do you think it would be easier if the Buffalo Bills kind of like force fed Stephon Diggs, or because Josh Allen's been like passing the ball to everybody? It's been going around to everybody. Do you think that like is that something that you would rather see, or it's like, okay, I don't want to see them kind of get the ball to Diggs because I know he can kill us? How do you like? What do you think you want to see, or rather would see?
If I'm a defensive coordinator, I would rather kind of similar to what you guys do, try to keep the ball in front of me. I would rather the ball get into like Dawson Knox's hands or maybe like a Gabriel Davis. You don't want to have the best players. Like, just like you guys don't want to see Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill run with the ball. You'd rather see like Mecole Hardman or Byron Pringle or DeMarcus Robinson. So the same thing goes for us. I don't want to see Stephon Diggs because he's one of the best route runners in the league. He has some of the best hands in football. So I don't want to see the ball in his hands a lot. I'd rather Knox and Gabriel and Isaiah McKenzie, those guys handling the ball, because not to say they can't make plays, but those aren't the main guys you have to worry about stopping. So you always want your secondary players. It's almost like essentially like you want them to play left-handed. I don't want you to drive to the right every single time. Play with your weak hand and tell me if you can beat me with your left hand, you'll shake them and say good game. But I don't want you to just go out there and do what you do well and let you just make it easier for you.
Right. So give me your two players that's all right. After this game, we might need to pay these boys.
There's a lot of guys that definitely need new contracts, but Tyrann Mathieu is a guy that definitely he's looking for a new deal. He wants to see solidified to make sure he's comfortable here. And now that he loves the community, shout out to him getting the Walter Payton Man of the Year award as well. So if he has a good game, he's definitely going to look out for an extension, which I say he should get paid before that anyway.
Right.
But I know the cap's going up this summer, so Tyrann Mathieu is a guy for sure who has to get paid. And then Tyreek Hill's looking for a new deal as well. So he's going to come out there and try to do what he does. And guys are trying to get extensions. And with this new CBA, they're probably going to make, and the cap being is probably a record high this summer of coming with all the new TV deals. This is the kind of game that if you solidify that your agent can use at the negotiating table, hey,
right,
you see what I did, he's the best of the best. So this is why I deserve the kind of money. So
right.
Yeah, and I gotta shout out some of the comments too. I use that Oliver, but the guy next to him who's been filling in for Star, he's been injury riddled. He actually lost to Tyrann Mathieu for the Walter Payton Man of the Year, and Harrison Phillips. He's been big about the last 5 weeks. He's been able to kind of take up that space so Ed Oliver can do whatever he does. So that he definitely can come, and he's also up for contract this year, so that he could definitely come out and have a big game. And then Motor was mentioned too. We have a decision at running back right at the end of the year. He's been playing well enough to keep his job. The last couple weeks, he's got to keep it rolling through the playoffs, the rest of the playoffs.
Interesting. We've been talking about these players, and at the end of the day, you got to win your matchup, right? That's something that if you've played football, you've heard coaches say, like, win your matchup, right? Worry about your matchup. And I think one of the things that we do here, I know the fans love it, and I know since we can wager now in New York State, it's becoming a thing.
Hey,
I know, right? So we have our expectation versus reality segment, and the reason why I put it in this category, our over under segment, is because we have an expectation of these players, right? In our minds, we're going to like, okay, I have an expectation of you, but the reality is this is what's going to happen. So I want to talk about these over-unders. I want to see what y'all got to say and why y'all are saying it. And with that being said, Matt, can you please let the people know who sponsors this segment?
Yes, sir. This segment is brought to you by the good people at Buffalo Pet Supply. Do you have a pet? Are you looking to get a pet or know someone who has a pet? There's only one place to send them to make that pet live its best life, Buffalo Pet Supply. Specializing in fish, small animals, and reptiles, Buffalo Pet Supply can get you set up or maintain whatever setup you may have. Stop down and see the family-owned and operated staff over at 1345 Military Road in Kenmore, or give them a call at 716-874-1951. And same deal, you go in there and mention the Overdue Bills podcast, get 10% off your purchase.
Wonderful. Man, I wanted to get to these, man. I've been looking at them, not going to lie. I've been looking at them. And I want to start with the passing yards because I think this is kind of a telltale of where the game is going to go. CJ talked about this too high shell, right? And he talked about even he wants his team to go a little bit more zone because they kind of went a little bit more man. And week 5 just didn't work out that way. And it's gonna be interesting what the defense do. But I wanna hear y'all guys' thoughts. So I'm gonna go right into it. Over under Matt, Josh Allen 278.5 passing yards.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go. He's gonna hit his 3, and he did it. He did it last game, and that they're rolling now with the balance of that running game. I think he's gonna be able to get some chunk plays.
Interesting, CJ.
I would take the over as well. Josh been throwing that thing, and like you said, they've gotten everybody involved now. Like Gabriel Davis has scored, I think, in like 3 of the last 4 games, and Emmanuel Sanders is healthy. And we haven't even mentioned Cole Beasley, who probably is Josh's favorite target behind Diggs. So Diggs is obviously doing it. Dawson Knox, who's another guy that's probably looking for another contract extension. Isaiah McKenzie's getting involved. So you just have all the weapons you could want. So 300 yards is really not a crazy feat for Josh nowadays. So I would take the over on that as well.
Interesting. I'm gonna throw it right back at you.
It's a beautiful time, man. It's a beautiful time. Remember the days we prayed for a 300-yard passer, not in garbage time.
Thank you.
Same here.
So let's talk about the other guy, Pat Mahomes. And let me see what y'all say in the comments as well. Over under 281.5 passing yards. Matt?
I'll let CJ go first. I'll let CJ go first.
I'll take the over on that as well. I mean, it's just both guys' weapons are all healthy. Tyreek Hill's locked and loaded, ready to go. I know he had to heal back in Denver, but he played really explosively in that Pittsburgh Steelers game. Travis Kelce's ready to roll. Mecole Hardman's getting involved. D-Rob, Byron Pringle, Jerry McKinnon, who's a much more versatile back than we've had in a while. So all the weapons you could want are just getting involved in the game. So I expect a big game from both quarterbacks. So I'll take the over on that one for sure.
Interesting. Matt?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over, only because they have that same type of explosive offense that we do, and I was gonna go with our defense has only given up 6 300-yard passers this whole season, and whatever I was gonna do something, and Pat was one of them though in that game, and he had a terrible game, so it's I think he's gonna go over that for sure.
Interesting. Before I want to ask about these passing touchdowns over unders. I think it's very interesting. But I got a question for you, CJ, in the comments. Our guy Mills, he said, "Why did y'all sign Josh Gordon?"
See, I said the same thing earlier this year. When we sign veterans off the street or in like the end of their careers, it never tends to work out for us. As far as like the offensive guys, we had the Le'Veon Bell experiment. That didn't work out too well. Josh Gordon, the LaShawn McCoy experiment. Like most of the guys we signed that are older veterans on offense, most of the time doesn't work. Now, our defensive guys, when we sign those guys, those usually hit. Terrell Suggs helped us get on a Super Bowl run as well. Melvin Ingram's been playing very well for us. So Mike Pineda, when we had him at D-tackle a couple years ago as well. The defensive guys, we do a good job of signing to help this team. The offensive guys, we haven't been too lucky on. So I agree with you, bro. The Josh Gordon one, he ain't played football in 2 years. I wish they would have got him more involved, but he had a lot of drops this year. I think he is what he is now, bro. I'm glad to have him on the team, but yeah, at this point in his career, like, bro, you are what you are. So
interesting. Let me ask y'all this: do y'all think they got Pat Mahomes is passing touchdowns at 2.5? Is that an over or under?
That's an easy over.
Really?
like nowadays, like in football, a touch pass on a jet sweep, that can be a touchdown.
That's true.
Yeah,
so
like,
I did a little stupid
like
pass.
One of those, and then threw 2. You'd be like, well, he only threw 2 touchdowns, but he had a tap pass for 1. So I think it's just there's so many ways the quarterback stats can be misconstrued in this game. I think 2.5 is. I think that's an easy over. I'll take that.
Matt?
Yeah. I don't know if it's easy, but the way since you added that wrinkle in there, I would say that's probably going to go over. If they get down to the goal, like in the red zone and the goal line, I can see that happening. But the only reason I would say it's not easy is just because that our secondary, they don't give up touchdowns. I mean, Jordan Poyer, they released a stat today. He hasn't given up a touchdown in 540 coverages. Micah Hyde's up there. Teron Johnson's up there. They're like the top coverage. They're the top the lowest touchdown percentages in the league. So they just don't really give up touchdowns. But when you put it like that, if they do get down there, I can see Kelce getting in a little 5-yard, little shovel pass, something like that, or even whatever.
It's like little cheap stats. So
Yeah.
y'all do the same thing. So
I'm gonna go under, man. I think that 2.5 stuck out to me. Like I seen it, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know about this one, y'all. Like I'm not. We're gonna get to the score in a minute. So wait, but this is a hot one. This is a hot one. This guys at my job wanted to know. Josh Allen over under 50.5 rushing yards. Matt.
You know what? I'm going to go with over. The reason why is that, we are going against two guys that we didn't, even though our offensive line is playing very well, we're playing against two guys that we didn't see that. Well, we saw Melvin Ingram week 1, and I think he had 12 QB pressures, which was more than his teammates and TJ Watt and Stephon Tuitt at the time. He was all over Josh that game. And then also Chris Jones is playing. So that's another guy he didn't play last time. So I do think he'll have to use his legs a little bit more than even though he had 60 yards rushing in the first meeting. I do think he will get over that because he's probably going to be able to get away and with our receivers downfield in this game.
CJ.
I would probably take the over as well because you have to essentially Josh has been so much involved. Like you said, he has 700 rushing yards this year.
Yeah,
they will not all of a sudden going to stop running Josh Allen. I've ran for almost 1,000 yards. Why would you stop now? So he's such involved in the run game. He's almost like essentially, no disrespect, he's not Cam Newton, but he's Cam Newton like. He's 6'5", mobile, big arm. He's very physical, not afraid to get hit. He actually delivers the hit a lot. So if you think he gets about 4 or 5 yards to go, 4 or 5 run plays that go about 6-7 yards, those things add up. So 50 yards for a 4-quarter game, I think that's pretty obtainable for Josh because he runs the ball so much, even on plays that aren't designed, like a pass play that ends up running the ball downfield, 10, 15 yards, boom, boom. Next thing you know, he's at 50. So
I was going to say he's good for like a 25-30. Then when you think he's going to go out of bounds, he'll step in for 5-6 more yards and then take a hit.
So with that being said, it's funny, CJ. So you obviously have to spy Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. Do you think that will hurt you in the long run? Because we do have weapons on the outside, right? It's not like how it was last year where it was Cole Beasley or Stephon Diggs or bust. And essentially, Dawson Knox he didn't come on yet like last year in that playoff game. So is that something that you kind of worry about?
I think we have earlier this year and last year that probably would have worried me a little bit more because I didn't think we had the linebacker to keep up with Josh. This year we have guys that are more involved. In defense, we have more speed. We have guys like Willie Gay, who's more involved on defense. And I think he's the perfect guy to run around with a guy like Josh Allen, who we know Josh Allen isn't he's not Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson fast. He's still a very good quarterback and getting down the field and making plays with his legs, even though he's a long strider. So when you have those kind of guys that can get involved and we have other safeties that we can spot with, I think it's going to be a big game for the linebackers because, like you said, Josh loves to run around. So I like a couple of our newer linebackers like him, Nick Bolton, guys that are involved in the run game because they didn't play as much, like Matt said earlier this year. So nowadays I feel much more comfortable with those guys spying Josh, even though running around with a quarterback like Josh is hard to get on the ground. So, but that's a fun matchup to look at for sure.
Interesting. We covered a lot. I do want to ask Kelsey, and then I want to get to our score predictions. I'm very interested to hear that. So Travis Kelce over under 71.5 passing yards. CJ.
Travis Kelce 7. Oh, you mean receiving yards?
Receiving yards. So, God.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
If that passing yard stat was out there, I would say
under.
No, Travis Kelce, they're definitely going to. I think he's the guy that I would probably take the over because I think if you're a Bills fan, you would much rather the ball be in his hands a lot more so than Tyreek Hill because if Tyreek Hill touches the ball, it's probably going to the crib because he's so explosive. And if he goes down the field, if Travis Kelce catches the ball, yes, he can break tackles. Obviously, he has a lot of yards after catch. But I'm more scared of you're scared to death when number 10 touches the ball because he can turn 20 into 80 like that. If Travis Kelce touches the ball, you got guys that can come up, rally, tackle, get him on the ground. So 71 yards, I'll take the over on that.
Let me say something, Matt, and I think I'm gonna agree with Drew Gold because he's saying hopefully under. How I look at it is this way: Trey White couldn't check, what's his name, Tyreek Hill, right? That's not a good matchup for him. The speed kills him. So it was I thought that was a wash anyway, right? Tyreek Hill, give him 80, 90, whatever yards, right? That's fine. Just get your yards. It's going to be explosive plays. He's fast. That it is what it is. But for Travis Kelce is a chain mover. And I think that can kill the Bills if Pat Mahomes can just consistently keep him involved in just, okay, 3rd and 7. He's there with that little button hook just sitting there, just literally sitting there. It's why is nobody on him? And I think that will hurt us more because that means Josh Allen is not on the field, right? So, and our defense is continuously be on the field. They're moving the ball, keeping our best option, Josh Allen off the field, and we're not putting up points. I think that's an issue for us. So, Matt, I don't know how you feel about it. Do you feel – let me just ask you, over or under 71.5 yards?
Well, I think he's going to go over that just because it's going to be the same assignment, and I don't think we're going to try to let Tyreek get off because last year in the AFC Championship game, he went 9 for $172, and if I don't want that again.
Exactly.
But on the same sentiment, I think Travis went over 100 himself. So they killed us. So I think I understand the third down. He definitely has the potential to do that, but I definitely want to take away the big plays, and if he has to get little plays in between there, I'm okay with that.
Interesting. Listen, y'all. The over-under is at 53.5, right? Over-under is at 53.5. So I'm going to ask you, Matt. I'm going to just go straight up. Matt, how do you feel about this game, man? Give me your score prediction on the game.
Well, last game it went over, and the Chiefs really, didn't do well offensively. So I don't think, even as well as our defense plays, I don't know that we're going to be able to hold them to quite to 20 this game. But so I'm going to definitely hammer the over, because I think it's just going to be. I don't think it's going to be like a crazy. It'll be a shootout, but I'm just saying, it's not going to be like no 50-50 game, but we'll definitely be up there in the 30s each, I think.
CJ?
I would definitely take the over as well. Both of these last two times these teams have combined for like over 40, 50 points. Past time. I think it was 58 when we played back in week 5, and that was without all the guys that we said that were here now. So yeah, I would definitely take the over. 2 hot offenses. You guys scored almost 100 points on Bill last week. I know that felt good. So and we had 5 touchdowns in 10 minutes. So yeah, I think the over 53.5. It actually went down because when me and Matt talked the other day, it was at 54.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's kind of shaky. So yeah, so I would definitely take the over on that for sure.
The spread is actually moving. I seen it at 1.5. It was started at 2. Yeah, 1.5. Now it's at 2. It's probably gonna just might stay there. But CJ, who wins, man? Let me know who wins.
Man, I'm rocking with the home team, man. I'm going with the Chiefs. We haven't covered a lot, so the -2, all the spreads, like we don't do a good job of covering. So my prediction the other day, I'm gonna stick with it. Chiefs 34, Bills 33, with a Harrison Butker game-winning field goal in Arrowhead for the win. That's my prediction for the win, baby, for the win.
Matt.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bills 38, Chiefs 34. I think the Chiefs are. I think we're gonna, like I said, I think the team that gets up in that double-digit range, I think we're gonna score, go up 11. Pat and them guys are gonna come down and get that last touchdown at the end, and that's gonna put it home. And it may end up being 35 because they might have to go for 2 or whatever. But I think it's gonna be 38-34.
Interesting. I got Buffalo 40. Buffalo 40 or 41, depending on. I think we're gonna miss an extra point, but that's neither here nor there. I got Buffalo 40, Kansas City 27. And I'm gonna say this. Shout out to Quet. Quet got 40-25. Mills got 28-24. Bills, of course. For some reason, it's not for some reason, but I don't know how you feel about this, CJ. You can combat it. I just think the Bills are the better team, and they're hot right now. Right, I think coming off that win against Bill Belichick, it was a great win for us. But I think that this is a game of coaching, meaning that Sean McDermott, all right, everybody come back down. This is the team who we really want to beat, right? We want to beat these guys right here. Like, they embarrassed us, even though we did win in week 5. That doesn't matter anymore. Take that game out your mind. We know we can beat them. We know we can beat them at Arrowhead because we've done it. But now let's do it again. And I think that Josh Allen is just playing better than Pat Mahomes. As simple as that. And what I do predict that we're going to at least win by a touchdown because our defense, like, at some point, a number 1 defense means a number 1 defense. I don't know how you feel about that. Like, do you think that this defense is fool's gold, CJ?
No, I believe in y'all defense. I think the strength of that team is definitely the secondary.
Okay.
Even without Tre'Davious White, like I've been watching Micah Hyde since he was at Iowa and in Green Bay. So I've always liked him as one of the better safeties in the league. I think he's underrated, actually. And then you put Jordan Poyer back there. That's a great combo. You have 2 guys that you can depend on to roll them down and play man coverage, or you're comfortable playing too high. But like me and Matt said earlier, I think it's just going to come down to which like we know what you're going to do. You know what we're going to do. There's no secret. There's no secret formula you have to do to try to win this game. It's like you've been saying all day, Sam. Win your matchups. At the end of the day, we want to score points. You guys want to score points. It's like looking yourself in the mirror. It's a high-scoring team versus a high-scoring team. 2 defenses that are definitely getting turnovers, definitely opportunistic. You guys have been better totality-wise than us. I think we kind of found our mojo after week 8, and then adding Melvin Ingram's helped a lot. I mean, I think he's probably going to try to exploit some of those matchups he did back in week 1 with you guys. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be whose defense wins on third down, because both offenses are going to score. They're going to move the ball. I just believe in my offense to score more points than your offense. I don't think we're going to go out there and hold the Bills to under 24 points. That's not realistic because they have too many weapons, too many good coaches, too much explosiveness over there to try to scrunch them down. I just think it's almost essentially like who has the last shot, who has the ball last. So I think we're going to get the ball in. I think we're going to go down there and win the game. So I trust our offense more. We're at the crib. We got the whole mojo going. We got the crowd noise. We didn't have a full stadium last time in the AFC Championship game. So now it's going to be rocking. So I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with our offense. I like number 15 in any big moment. So
interesting. So Matt, okay, Matt.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that about the full stadium. I know we talked about, for some reason our game is the cheapest draw for the weekend. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, they released today that Tennessee, they're changing their ticketing policies so opposing people can't buy up all the tickets. I'm wondering if KC. Oh wow! I didn't know they could do that either, but I guess too many Bengals fans were buying tickets and Tennessee fans are half-assed. So they don't want boys coming in to take over their stadium like people normally do.
But that's close though. Like Cincinnati and Nashville, like that they're really not that far. So I mean that makes sense.
I've never seen that before. Like you can literally tell people you can't buy tickets. Like wow.
I don't know how they're limiting it, but I guess they changed some policy today. I was wondering if the Arrowhead was going to start doing the same because the Mafia, they come out in herds.
Mafia is deep. I've never heard that before. If that really is true, how come Jerry Jones didn't let the Niners stop coming into the Jerry World last week?
Maybe he didn't. Yeah. I have to I literally just looked at it, came across like on ESPN that they limited, like there was some policy they changed to limit opposing people from coming. Maybe season. Yeah, maybe season tickets
probably couldn't sell they can't sell their tickets.
Oh, okay,
that's probably the only thing they could do.
That could probably do it, yeah.
Because how would you know?
Nobody making money, so
if
people going to charge, they're going to pay for these.
And how would you know that I'm a Cincinnati fan anyway? I mean, I guess location, but even in that, like it's. I mean,
what if I just live here? I just want to go to the game.
Exactly, you can't do
for sure.
No, that's a crazy rule. I didn't think the NFL would do that, but like Sam said earlier, it's always about green. So the narrows always talk. So that's a crazy story. I did not hear that.
Let me ask you this, even though we talked about Cincinnati and Tennessee. Whoever wins this game, do you believe this? CJ, Matt first. Whoever wins this game will get to the Super Bowl. Do you believe that, Matt?
Yeah, I know. I said it on the recap game, 100%. I don't care if Tennessee's the 1 seed. We can disrespect them all they want. These two are the top 2 teams left in the AFC, and they're going to go to the Super Bowl, whoever wins this one.
CJ.
I agree. I completely agree. Whichever team wins this game, either they're going to, like Matt said, we're going to get a home game versus Cincinnati, or you're going to get to go to Tennessee and try to upset them. And by the way, their fans are doing, like Matt said, they're not too confident about trying to let people too happy for people coming in town and trying to take over their stadium. So, yeah, I think whoever wins this game is going to team that's going to represent the AFC. This is the real AFC championship game right here.
Interesting. Listen, we appreciate everybody being on, man. I can't wait for Sunday, right? Like, it's a highly, highly, highly anticipated game. And before we kind of get to all the pleasantries that we have to do, CJ, let the people know. I know Matt was on the show. Let the people know where they can find the show so they can go watch it, you know what I mean, before the game and all of those amazing things.
Absolutely. You guys can find us on Twitter at @theaftermath_KC. You can find me on Twitter as well at CGZ81, CJEEZY81. We had Matt on. I appreciate you pulling up, Matt. We thank you so much for that.
Sure, anytime.
Definitely we had some good talks yesterday, and we had some little wager side bets, kind of like we did last year. But I also wanted to propose this to you guys. If you guys, I don't know where you guys are going to be after the game. Are you guys cool with maybe having like a spaces after maybe at halftime or maybe like pregame if you guys aren't too busy? What do y'all think about that?
We have to talk about it later. It depends on the alcohol consumption during the game.
No, I don't partake like Matt does. But yeah,
bottle water this round.
Just let me know. Just let me know, man. Let me know. Yeah,
and for those all interactive for sure, I would love it. I think that'd be dope.
Yeah, and for those people that don't know, we did do a friendly wager. The guys over here at the Overdue Bills podcast and the Aftermath podcast. CJ, he's located in Kansas City. We're located in Buffalo, so we wagered some wings versus barbecue. CJ, we had to send him some wings last year, so we're looking forward to some good barbecue coming our way.
Listen. Let me say this for sure. That's funny. Mills is saying he owe us some wings or he owes some barbecue in the comments. And Mills said he owned. But listen, let's do this. Matt, go over the contest again. Let the people know about that.
Yes, sir. So we're doing the score prediction contest, just like me and CJ and Sam. We gave our score prediction as a tiebreaker. We're gonna do the total offensive yardage by the Buffalo Bills, and then you're gonna tag two people in the post. It's up on Instagram and on Facebook. You can get in on either one, no, not both of them. And then also, I'm just gonna say it right here. We're gonna do a T-shirt contest this week. We're gonna give away a free Overdue Bills T-shirt. You're going to predict the total passing yards by Josh Allen this week. You're going to do that. We're going to create a post, put that up on our Instagram and Facebook, and then you're going to tag, you're going to, as a tiebreaker, you're going to do his rushing yards, and then you're going to tag one person in that post. And then the winner of that is going to get a free Overdue Bills T-shirt from us. Please,
man, everybody get into the comments, man. Let us know in the contest who you got, your score prediction. We want everybody to get in, man. It's been a amazing participants. You're trying to give out this free stuff because y'all been supporting us through this whole season. We appreciate y'all. And let me just say, y'all, CJ, he's a good follow on Twitter, man. It's just not all about football with him, man. You will see a bunch of everything. I just
I try to keep my horizons broad. So I talk about it all. So
listen, he talk about it all. So shout out to him. We definitely appreciate him being on the show. And y'all know how we do it, man. We end every show with a little bit of that. Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, I know CJ is going to be hearing a lot of that